This program contains adult content.
Is there a God?
Big atheist.
Really?
What, am I an idiot? Come on.
That yes, it would be nice if you could throw your sins and your responsibilities on someone else. But it's not true.
It looks like far-left lunacy.
I don't believe that it's true that religion is moral or ethical.
You don't need to follow anybody!
It's not human intelligence!
If someone doesn't value logical consistency, what logical argument are you going to give them that will demonstrate that they should?
Hello and welcome to the Godless Rebelution. Today is Tuesday, January 8th.
It's been a long time.
This is episode 233. I almost fucked that up. Ryan corrected me before we got going.
Caught it just before we started.
Thank you ever so much. Because I'll do that later.
Okay.
We'll just figure out how long this went and technical difficulties, people, because I'm done. I just am tired of everything. It's only been 4 days since we saw each other last for the last recording, because we had to change recording days for your schedule.
I know.
God, Ryan.
But I've been off like the last 6 days.
Oh, that's got to be nice.
Yeah.
Having a little break.
Yeah. It's been so nice. I finished Red Dead Redemption 2.
Oh yeah, I still have yet to play it.
Oh.
I don't have time for video game. Like
either do I normally.
I play like 5-minute games on my phone because I can do that in 5-minute increments here and there.
It's a long game.
I play Golf Clash. I play a lot of Golf Clash. It's the off season. I can't go golfing in real life, so.
Well, they got that virtual golf place in like Provo, isn't there?
Yeah. I still haven't been there yet. Well, I don't think it's that far south. It's Point of the Mountain-ish.
Okay.
Top Golf, I think is what it's called.
That'd be fun to go to.
I have been meaning to go there. It's been open a couple of years, and I'm like, I need to go there. And before it even opened, me and a few friends were like, oh, this is going to be awesome. We should go all the time. And
never went.
Still haven't gone. I hear it's a decent place.
Yeah.
They've got good food, and it's fun, but I have not yet been there. So tonight we're going to be listening to President Dumb Motherfucker lie to the country from the Oval Office for, they said that he wanted less than 10 minutes because obviously he can't, read
longer than that.
Well, and he can't maintain any sense of decorum and presidential stature for anything longer than 10 minutes for sure. And he's, I'm sure, going to be reading off a teleprompter after slamming Obama for that for years.
Yeah, he definitely. We saw the beginning of it,
but he just won't have legions of dipshit fucking Trumpsters cheering for him and chanting shit for 5 or 10 minutes at a time. So he's going to actually have to read and speak
after snorting a line of Adderall off the desk.
There was also news about Manafort today that was breaking. That's pretty interesting. We've got some other news stories that we'll be covering. We're going to listen to Trump and bitch and moan about that while we're doing it, and then we'll listen to the Democratic response and probably bitch and moan a little bit about that while we're listening to it also. So sit back, relax if you can, and be prepared for what I'm sure will be
a fuck storm.
An epic amount of profanity. It's what happens whenever I have to listen to this fucking clown.
I mean, it's always good to have an epic amount. It's better than... Oh, should we also note that Matt is not here tonight?
Oh, yeah. Poor Matt. His whole family's been sick for the last few weeks.
Well, we mentioned that. Like, when I was sick over the holidays, he was like, yeah, my kid, my wife, they were both sick. He was sick. And now they're sick again. And his little boy's sick. So, like, that sucks.
Yeah. Poor little Matt Mini Matt has an ear infection apparently.
Yeah.
And his wife is sick and the baby's sick, so Matt is staying home to help take care of them and do the daddy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Poor kid, man. Ear infections are fucking awful. Both of my kids had ear infections when they were little. Lydia had ear infections a lot when they were really young and tiny. We ended up getting tubes in their ears and that helped a whole lot. Didn't have any more ear infections after that, but yeah, that just, it was a bad deal, man. I feel really terribly for any little kid with ear infections because they fucking hurt.
I guess I got them a lot. I don't remember them.
Yeah. I don't remember mine either, but I guess I had them quite a bit when I was young. But, generally when they're that young and having ear infections, they don't have the vocabulary to explain what's going on or what hurts or why. Yeah. They're just fucking miserable and crying.
Something isn't right and it's painful.
Yeah. Life sucks. Why was I born? This is terrible.
Put me back in there.
But yeah, stick around. We're going to have a good time and yell and scream a lot.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody, it's X from the Utah Outcasts podcast and YouTube channel, and you're listening to the Godless Rebelution.
I gotta use some Tic Tacs just in case I start kissing her. You know, I'm automatically attracted to beautiful. I just start kissing them. It's like a magnet. I don't even wait. And when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything.
Whatever you want.
Grab them by the pussy. I can do anything.
If you have questions, comments, concerns, compliments, corrections, criticisms, or concepts for content, contact the show via email at godlessrebelution@gmail.com, by text or voicemail at 330-81-REBEL, or Twitter the Twatter at TGR Podcast. Thank you!
Okay, we got it all queued up. We're ready to listen to the Orange Menace.
The liar in chief.
Schmuck à l'orange, I think is what Noah calls him.
He's got a vagina neck.
He's just a terrible, 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 awful person. But we have him queued up, and let's see what he has to say. I'm sure we're going to pause and yell and scream.
Yeah.
My fellow Americans, tonight I am speaking to you because there is a...
I'm speaking to you.
a growing humanitarian and security crisis at our southern border. Every day, Customs and Border Patrol agents encounter thousands of illegal immigrants trying to enter our country. We are out of space to hold them, and we have no way to promptly return them back home to their country.
So he says that this happens every day, that they encounter thousands of illegal immigrants. They don't encounter thousands every day. They encounter thousands every month, not every day, and it's not a crisis. And I mean, immigration is at the lowest levels we've seen in 4 decades.
A negative net value on illegal immigrants coming into the country.
Yeah, because they know that they're not going to be let in anyway, that it's going to be much more difficult. And yeah, immigration is down across the board, and it's not a crisis. And if it were an actual fucking crisis, then he wouldn't have shut down the fucking government, because part of what is shut down is Department of Homeland Security, Customs and Border Patrol, TSA. All of those aren't receiving funding right now, so the people working those jobs, if they're at work, are working without pay.
Yeah.
That's how much Donald Trump actually fucking cares about border security, is that he wants to force people to work without pay.
And those are the people that do the enforcement at the border, at airports, at international checkpoints.
Yeah, as if they're going to be doing a great job for no pay.
Yeah.
Not knowing if and or when they will be paid.
Or like
worrying about their bills the whole time.
Or like we talked about last week briefly. You have TSA agents calling in sick to work because they aren't getting paid.
Yeah.
Not just like, I'm not going to go to work if you're not going to pay me.
Yeah, and or they're out looking for other job. They're out looking for another job, or they're working another job to bring in some kind of money because they don't know mortgage when they're going to get paid again.
Yeah.
America proudly welcomes millions of lawful immigrants who enrich our society and contribute to our nation. But all Americans are hurt by uncontrolled illegal migration. It strains public resources and drives down jobs and wages.
Drives down jobs and wages and strains our systems. You know, like shutting down the fucking government.
Yeah, and drives down wages. I wouldn't necessarily agree with.
Yeah,
because a lot of immigrant people that come here illegally are working jobs under the table a lot of times, and shit jobs that no one else wants to do.
Right,
and they're doing it for shit pay. Usually on farms, maybe day labor, all that kind of stuff, which helps the farmer out immensely, unless he gets caught.
Or Donald Trump
Or
and
Donald
his
Trump.
hotels who are hiring illegal immigrants. That's also how much he cares about illegal immigration. He wants to stop it so much that he'll hire illegal immigrants at all of his hotels.
But you also got to look at the price of produce. If you want to have produce, the price of produce goes up anyway, actually dependent on the cost of oil. But if you had to pay those people minimum wage to do that stuff, instead of having people coming in from Mexico or Ecuador or South America in general to do that kind of work, your grapes you love so much or your fruits and vegetables would all be really, really expensive.
Yeah. Yeah, we've got PolitiFact up here, and we'll be quoting some of the things that they have been tweeting out live as the president is speaking. And you can see they've posted a chart of U.S. Border Patrol apprehensions along the southwest border, fiscal years 2000 to 2018. And it went from, in 2000, there was over 1.6 million.
That's a lot.
And in 2018, there was less than 400,000. So been reduced by, 75% in that time. And now there's a crisis. What about the crisis about this fucking migrant chain or train or whatever the fuck they were calling it for so long that he was hyping before the election that we really needed to deal with this because there's thousands of people marching toward our border and we're going to be overrun with all of these immigrants. Oh, well, did that fucking happen?
No, because he shut the borders down and wouldn't let them legally enter the United States to claim asylum.
Yeah, they shot tear gas at them.
They shot tear gas at him.
Yeah.
Because he's complaining with people coming to the country illegally. But they were making an attempt to come here legally, to become legal immigrants. As much as he hates to maybe admit it, they didn't try to sneak across the border. They announced their arrival 6 months before they started fucking coming here.
Oh, yeah.
We are going to the U.S. to seek asylum.
Well, and he tries to demonize all of these immigrants. And he'll bring this up, I'm sure, later. Well, I know that he does. He'll bring it up that, all of these illegal immigrants, there's so many of them that are committing these, horrific crimes and everything. But people who come here illegally don't want to be deported. So they don't commit crimes nearly as often as your regular, everyday, average American citizen does.
I am less afraid of an immigrant or MS-13 than I am of a ultra-religious white man with a gun.
Yeah. Yeah, same here. Absolutely. Let me get back to this here.
Among those hardest hit are African Americans and Hispanic Americans. Our southern border is a pipeline for vast quantities of illegal drugs, including meth, heroin, cocaine, and fentanyl.
And most of those don't come across on the backs of immigrants either.
That's why I'm like, that's true, but with a stipulation. It comes through our fucking border checkpoints already set up, because these people are able to send so much at the border at one time, they can't fucking catch it all. It's not going across the fucking desert. The only thing I had read on this where it said the only drug that is still comes across through over the wall or through the desert in mass is marijuana.
Oh, yeah.
Drugs like heroin and meth, they're all put in the trucks. People's actually, I think number one was on people, on their person or in their private vehicles. Number two was in semis mixed amongst other produce or other goods, trying to hide it inside there. Or literally shipped to the fucking mail system from fucking China. That's how most of the fentanyl gets in this country. It's not coming from Mexico. It's coming through the fucking mail system from China.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, PolitiFact rates that most heroin in the U.S. comes across the Mexican border as mostly true, because it does. But it's not coming across on the backs of illegal immigrants.
No.
It's coming through, like you said, Ryan,
in their vaginas.
No, in big trucks and other vehicles where they can stash large quantities of it.
Yeah. And if 5 of their trucks get caught, but 2 make it through, guess what? They made a profit on that fucking heroin.
Yeah, well, and we know that the majority of what they send gets through. I mean, as far as the total number of drugs coming across versus what they catch, much more comes across
Yeah. Well, even
then they ever stop.
This a couple of years ago, I think Vice did the thing on it. They're showing the tunnels that the cartel uses to get across from Mexico to the U.S., where they literally buy a house on each side, dig a tunnel from one house to the other house.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, yeah, it can cost us $1 million to do that tunnel. But if we get one trip through, it's made us money.
Oh, yeah.
We can destroy that one and build another one.
Yeah.
So if we make one trip and it gets caught, well, it doesn't fucking matter. We already made our profit off that tunnel. So if we get 2 trips through, fucking A, we're making big money now.
Mm-hmm. Let's go back to the Orange Menace.
Uh-oh, what screen did it go? Oh, there it is.
Every week, 300 of our citizens are killed by heroin alone. 90% of...
Okay, but that has nothing to do with immigration.
No, that has everything to do with our addiction to opiates in this country that are prescribed by fucking doctors. And when people stop getting their prescription, guess what they're turning to? Fucking heroin.
Yeah. Because they can't get their prescription
Because they can't get their prescription anymore. And they've become addicted to prescription fucking drugs that they're cut off from. And the sad thing is they're turning to fucking illegal drugs like heroin.
But yeah, but he's trying to tie this to immigration that has
nothing
absolutely
to do.
Nothing at all to do with immigration.
That semi that carries that load of heroin into the country with one driver, maybe a co-driver behind the wheel, guess what's going to happen? It's going to come to the U.S., drop its heroin off, and go back to Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
No immigration.
of which floods across from our southern border. More Americans will die from drugs this year than were killed in the entire Vietnam War.
I wonder if that's true.
That, I don't know. We'll have to maybe do a fact check on that. Let's see. Have more died from opioids in 2 years than in Vietnam War? That is true.
Okay.
According to PolitiFact. But again, that has nothing to do with immigration.
No, it doesn't. It has to do with our opiate addiction in this country.
And with the failed war on drugs.
Yeah.
That has gotten us fucking nowhere. If you want to actually save people's lives from drug addiction, you legalize drugs, you give them rehab, you give them places where they can get safe drugs and be monitored and not overdose and fucking die.
Yeah. Well, it's also an overhaul of our medical system where we stop fucking letting people go home with hardcore narcotics for them to take irresponsibly.
Right.
Or for their kids to start taking. I personally believe that if it's that bad of a narcotic, it should not be prescribed outside the hospital.
Yeah.
In the last 2 years, ICE officers made 266,000 arrests of aliens with criminal records, including those charged or convicted of 100,000 assaults, 30,000 sex crimes, and 4,000 violent killings. Over the years, thousands of Americans...
Is a killing ever nonviolent? Just a question.
4,000 violent, death-causing killings where people were made dead from murder.
From violent, it wasn't a happy murder.
have been brutally killed by those who illegally entered our country, and thousands more lives will be lost if we don't act right now.
To open the fucking government again so that we can take care of these issues, you fucking ignorant prick.
This is a humanitarian crisis, a crisis of the heart, and a crisis of the soul.
Oh my God, to have him say that it's a fucking crisis of the heart and the soul while we separate children from their parents, tear gas entire families trying to come across the border.
Shut down border crossings where they're legally trying to enter the country.
End up with 2 dead children in the custody of Customs and Border Patrol, have Customs and Border Patrol agents pouring out water and other supplies that are left by the Border Angels groups and people like that who will go out and set water out in the desert, knowing the people are going to be coming across and may need some water when they get there, and having Customs and Border Patrol agents pouring that shit out. So that if somebody gets there and needs water, it's no longer there for them and they can fucking die.
You know, he claims he wants good people to come here, probably hardworking people to come to this country to contribute to society.
As long as they're not Muslims.
If they're able to walk from down by Ecuador and Panama and these areas where it's our fault that they're fucked up because we decided to go in there and overthrow political parties and put other people in control, and we contributed pretty heavily to the shittiness of that area down there. They're willing to walk on foot across an entire fucking
thousands and thousands of miles
in countries to come here to live a better life. If they're able to make that walk and make that sacrifice to do that, I bet they'd be a pretty damn good fucking worker.
And how appreciative would they be if they were allowed in and allowed to work and made citizens of the United States?
You know how they always make that analogy with the pro-life people saying, well, what if the baby you aborted were to find a cure for cancer? What if one of these kids coming from fucking Ecuador out of a shithole were to make it here to America, get into a good school, get a good education, and fucking cure cancer someday, but you won't allow them to come into this country to become the best person they can be and have more potential in life. You said you tear gas their ass and fucking send them back there to become a drug dealer.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's just it. Republicans aren't pro-life. They're pro-birth.
Yeah.
After that, they don't give a fuck about you.
Yeah.
Last month, 20,000 migrant children were illegally brought into the United States.
And so we had to separate them from their parents and then ship their parents off and allow several of these children to live in squalor and be sexually molested by people that we had hired. We put them in detention camps with Mylar blankets.
Yep. And concrete floors.
Fucking asshole.
And don't fucking say Obama did the same thing.
No.
A dramatic increase. These children are used as human pawns by
you, motherfucker! By you!
What's he doing right now?
Exactly. He's holding them hostage and shutting down the fucking government. He's holding them hostage and all of the public employee or all of the public employees that are either not working and not getting paid or are working and not getting paid. And all of these migrant families. He's holding everybody hostage because he's a tiny-handed little fucking prick.
Because he said a simple little fucking word during his rallies and kept saying it and saying it and saying it, and he can't fucking lose it.
Build the wall. Build the wall. Vicious coyotes and ruthless gangs. 1 in 3 women are sexually assaulted on the dangerous trek up through Mexico.
And so we're going to stop them and send them back so they can be sexually assaulted even more.
Well, here's the thing. Let's reform our immigration system to make it so they don't have to rely on a fucking coyote to bring them into the U.S.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a novel idea. How about we don't put them in that situation in the first place?
Maybe they're in that situation because you're shutting down the border and we've made it so fucking hard for someone to come to this country that wants to seek a better life.
Mm-hmm.
Women are children.
Women are children?
Yes. And I'm still not convinced that they want to come to the U.S. I mean, they walked from South America all the way through it, got to the U.S. border. What's to say they're not continuing to Canada?
Yeah.
It's better there.
I've been somewhat thinking of going to there.
The Great White North.
It doesn't seem nearly so bad as what we've got going on here lately.
Of the heart and a crisis of the soul. Last month, 20,000 migrant children were illegally brought into the United States, a dramatic increase. These children are used as human pawns by vicious coyotes and ruthless gangs. 1 in 3 women are sexually assaulted on the dangerous trek up through Mexico. Women or children are the biggest victims, by far, of our broken system.
And so I'm going to leave it broken
and
shut down the government because I want it to be broken and I want to put up a big wall to be sure that they're kept out.
Yeah, so what does building the wall do to stop them from...
Nothing.
Nothing.
It doesn't do anything to stop that.
No, they'll buy boats now. Dig more tunnels. It does nothing.
No.
Absolutely nothing.
No.
This is the tragic reality of illegal immigration on our southern border. This is the cycle of human suffering that I am determined
to continue as long as I possibly can until I get my way, because I want a wall.
The walls, it's some magical fairy tale wall, I guess. It just stops everything.
To end. My administration has presented Congress with a detailed proposal to secure the border and stop the criminal gangs, drug smugglers, and human traffickers. It's a tremendous problem. Our proposal was developed by law enforcement professionals and border agents at the Department of Homeland Security.
You know, one of those agencies that I currently have shut down right now.
Oh, and also the agency that underneath one of the proposals, they agreed to give them an additional $1.5 billion to help with this stuff.
Yeah, but instead he wants 5.6 for a fucking wall. So walk me through how this works, because he has said that his new deal with Mexico, you know, when he rewrote NAFTA to whatever the fuck stupid thing he calls it now, that it's basically the same thing, but he says that because of that and through that, Mexico is going to pay for the wall. So if that's the case, why does he need $5.6 billion? If Mexico is going to pay for the wall through this renegotiated trade act, then why the fuck does he need any more money for it?
Because they aren't.
Thank you. That was a very succinct explanation, Ryan.
Yeah. Well, you see, we generate income and money through trade, through tariffs and whatever, you know, we pay to send stuff across the border. In the country, we raise money that way, just like we do with our taxes. But in my opinion, if we've got a larger deficit growing, shouldn't that money be used to pay down a deficit rather than pay for a wall, which this money won't even be enough to pay for this wall?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Because the conservative estimates for just building the wall, not maintaining, not buying the property around the areas, not building the roads to get there, just for the construction of the wall was around $30 billion. That's just for the construction of the wall. Now you got to buy the land from all the people that own the land, and you got to negotiate all that.
And all of the time and expense that is going to take in probate courts and courts where people are challenging eminent domain and all of the pissed off people along the border now who are going to hate the fucking president and this idea because it's a land grab from these people who own property there.
Well, then you have to build roads. So that way you can access these areas where you want to bring heavy equipment in to build the wall.
Stupid fucking wall. It's ridiculous.
And then how much steel does China have left for us to buy?
And it's building something for a non-existent problem.
Yeah.
And a problem that we could solve through such better economically sound and more humane means than putting up a stupid goddamned wall.
Like actual
this is just
reform.
Something that he promised his dipshit followers while he was campaigning and throughout his presidency. There was a call between him and the Mexican president after he took office where he told the Mexican president, so I really need you to pay for this wall because I told everybody that you were going to do that. And so now I'm kind of stuck with that, and I really would like you to pay for a wall. And the Mexican president was like, no, that's not going to happen. What are you fucking stupid?
And there's large swaths of land where it's physically impossible to build this wall. You got people that might own ranches there, small communities. So you would essentially either have to shut down that
waterways.
Well, waterways are the biggest one. The Rio Grande is the biggest area where you can't just build it right along the Rio Grande. So you're going to have to build it inside of America further, not at the actual border, like maybe a half mile or a mile inside. And you're going to cut off all that area. So if there's people that live beyond that own ranches down there along the Rio Grande, well, guess what? Either
you're now Mexicans.
Yeah, you're now in Mexico. So now people are still going to cross the Rio Grande to get into the U.S. And now they're going to be stuck on your property trying to get over the wall. So technically they'll be in America, but not to the border wall yet.
These are the resources they have requested to properly perform their mission and keep America safe. In fact, safer than ever before. The proposal from Homeland Security includes cutting-edge technology for detecting drugs, weapons, illegal contraband, and many other things. We have requested more agents, immigration judges, and bed space to process the sharp rise in unlawful migration fueled by our very strong economy.
Okay. So that extra $1.5 billion would go great towards that.
But he just fucking lied again. We don't have an increase in immigration. We don't.
We have a decrease.
Fucking down by 75% since 2000.
And it keeps going down.
And people aren't coming here because of our great economy. They're coming here because the rest of the world is even shittier than here. Somehow.
Yeah. Well, I guess here you're not having to worry about drug lords beheading you every day because you refuse to grow their product on your land,
or to give your children over into slavery to work on these farms and drug plants. Yeah.
Our plan also contains an urgent request for humanitarian assistance and medical support. Furthermore, we have asked Congress to close border security loopholes so that illegal immigrant children can be safely and humanely returned back home.
Wait.
Motherfucker.
What's this loophole he's talking about?
It's the poop hole loophole.
Oh, I love that song. Because if I'm not mistaken, the way it was traditionally done was a child was only separated from their biological parents while crossing the border if that child was in danger from the parents.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's the way, well, that's why it says Obama did the same thing. It's like, no, Obama only, if the child needed medical care, they'll take him to get medical care. If the parents
need medical care, then they get medical care.
But if they come across the border, it's like, ooh, yeah, this parent of this child is a huge drug addict and they might need to be separated.
And if the parents commit a crime other than migrating here,
they get separated.
They get separated because then the parent has to go to jail. Of course that fucking happens. I wouldn't say nobody is as stupid as that, because obviously there are way too many people who believe this fucking jackass that, they buy into that whole narrative. But no, the Obama administration didn't do that. They didn't just separate automatically, as a matter of course, separate children from their parents.
Yeah,
that's something that this fucking asshole did.
Yeah. And just because you come across with a child does not give you automatic access.
Right.
Which I'm guessing that's what he means by the loophole. If you come here with a kid, you're automatically get let in. No.
I'm sure it's a vague reference to chain migration where, if you come over and then you have a child here, then that child is now a citizen, and how are you going to separate the parent from the child who's now a U.S. citizen, blah, blah, blah.
But that's not what's happening.
The anchor baby problem.
They're not coming here and having kids. He's a fucking anchor baby.
Yeah.
As part of an overall approach to border security, law enforcement professionals have requested $5.7 billion for a physical barrier.
No, that's not what they requested. That's what you requested, you lying sack of fucking shit.
Yeah, you just went through a whole list of stuff they requested, like detection stuff for guns and drugs, more places to house immigrants when they come across the border, more people to work the border, more detection devices across the border.
More technology, not a fucking stupid ass wall.
You didn't mention a wall there at all until you said it.
This is what they request. They requested this much money. No, they did not do that, you fucking liar.
At the request of Democrats, it will be a steel barrier rather than a concrete.
The request of Democrats. Oh my God.
Wait a second.
That's not at all what fucking happened either. You lying shitbag motherfucker.
Didn't he say last week, I never said concrete wall. I never once said that.
It could be, I don't know, steel. It could be like slats. We could make some steel slats.
Artistically designed slat wall.
He just lies constantly. That's all he fucking does.
And actually, in one of the videos I saw from Border Patrol agents, they said that a concrete wall would be stupid.
Oh, yeah?
Because they can't see what's going on the other side.
Yeah.
If you're patrolling the border, and you got you
don't know if somebody's drilling a hole through there.
Chucking a grenade over.
Yeah. Yeah. You're totally blind to what's going on.
Yeah.
Concrete wall. This barrier is absolutely critical to border security. It's also what our professionals at the border want and need. This is just common sense.
No, it's not.
The border wall would very quickly pay for itself.
How?
The cost.
If it will pay for itself, then why do you need more money for it? Yeah. Again, you lying sack of fucking shit.
I think when I looked on here earlier, Political Fact had the breakdown of that being the trade deal will not pay for the wall.
Will the wall pay for itself? False. Let me pull this up. Donald Trump's false claim about the cost of illegal immigration. So on December 4th of 2018, he tweeted, the United States loses $250 billion a year on illegal immigration, not including the terrible drug flow. Top border security, including a wall, is $25 billion. Pays for itself in 2 months. So let's see. So that's 8 weeks. We've been shut down for 2. So so it could have already paid for itself in the amount of time that we've been shut. That's a fucking lie.
Yeah.
He just lies over and over and over again. The article says, in a renewed effort to get Democrats to approve money for his border wall, President Trump claimed that the border wall would quickly pay for itself using a simple concept. Trump had originally promised that Mexico would pay for the wall, but he now says the United States can bear the costs using savings that would come from preventing illegal immigration. Oh, so this is even different than, I mean, if Mexico's paying for it because of the trade deal, and we're paying for it by preventing illegal immigration, and he's getting money, well, Jesus Christ, it could pay for itself 3 times over. Yeah. Could somebody please explain to the Democrats, we need their votes, that our country loses $250 billion a year on illegal immigration, not including the drug flow, blah, blah, blah. We already read that. The White House did not respond to PolitiFact queries for data backing Trump's claim. Weird that. It's difficult to pin a hard number on the cost of illegal immigration because there's limited data on the population living in the United States illegally. But several immigration experts told PolitiFact they were unaware of any study pegging immigrant losses or costs at $250 billion a year. That's because he just made it up from thin fucking air.
Yeah.
The largest estimate we could find is not even half of Trump's assertion. It's unclear where Trump's estimate comes from. Trump has previously touched on the country's fiscal burden from illegal immigration. During the 2016 presidential campaign, he claimed that illegal immigration costs our country more than $113 billion a year. That was mostly false. Now he's more than doubled that and somehow thinks that is less false. His latest claim more than doubles the figures he claimed 2 years ago. Most estimates of the unauthorized population remain around 11 million. The right-leaning Federation for American Immigration Reform, FAIR, estimated in a September 2017 report that the federal, state, and local costs of more than 12.5 million people in the United States illegally was around $135 billion a year. After factoring in this population's tax contributions, the group said the total economic impact of illegal immigration was around $116 billion a year, up from $113 billion in 2013. The Federation seeks to reduce legal and illegal immigration to the United States, and its cost estimates tend to be higher than other related studies. Its conclusions have generally been criticized for relying on inexact estimates and broad assumptions. Alex Nauriste, I'm sure I murdered that last name, an immigration policy analyst at the Libertarian Cato Institute, said FAIR's 2017 report was fatally flawed. It undercounted immigrants' tax revenues, inflated the number of immigrants in the country illegally, counted millions of U.S. citizens as illegally in the United States, and used a method of estimating fiscal costs, quote, that is rejected by all economists who work on this subject. That's from the Cato Institute.
The Cato-Kalin Institute?
A very conservative think tank. Without precise data on the unauthorized immigrant population, researchers typically draw inferences about characteristics based on responses to surveys that don't ask about authorization status. Why illegal immigration won't cover wall's cost in 2 months. Trump claimed that the $25 billion border wall would pay for itself in 2 months under a scenario where illegal immigration costs $250 billion a year. Let's do some quick math on that.
Yeah, that doesn't
quite
add up.
There are obvious problems with the numbers, and overall, the total cost of a complete border wall is unclear. But the real problem is the comparison of one-time construction costs of a border wall to annual costs of net government benefits paid in excess of taxes received. So $25 billion in 2 months times 6.
Yeah, that's more. I was going to do.
It's much less than $250 billion. Trump's claim also overlooks the complexities of congressional appropriations and the reasons why Democrats are hesitant to fund the wall. Democrats say the wall is too costly. They also say there are other ways to secure the border, including the use of technology, surveillance, and more Border Patrol agents. A February 2017 study from the Center for Immigration Studies, which favors low immigration levels, analyzed data from the National Academies of Sciences, Engineering, and Medicine. The study considered data related to the likely education level of future immigrants crossing the border illegally and their estimated fiscal impact. If a border wall prevented 160 to 200,000 illegal crossings, excluding descendants, in the next 10 years, it would be enough to pay for the estimated 12 to 15 billion costs for the wall. So that's over 10 years.
Yeah.
And the estimated cost of 12 to 15 billion, which is low.
Yeah. Which doesn't even, that doesn't even cover the cost to build it. Then the upkeep over those 10 years, which would be in the billions as well.
The projected savings are based on an average lifetime fiscal burden of almost $75,000 for someone who crossed illegally, but not their U.S.-born children. Some caveats noted by the analysts. 1, the population of immigrants in the United States illegally includes people who overstay a visa, and a southern border wall would not address this issue.
Nope.
And that's where most of the illegal immigrants come from. A large share of the net fiscal costs of illegal immigration is at the state and local levels, yet building a border wall would be a federal cost.
Yep.
It's also worth noting that some of the federal costs included in some estimates for illegal immigration include expenditures tied to education and healthcare. It's uncertain whether those specific funds would be diverted to pay for the border wall. Our ruling. Trump tweeted, "Our country loses $250 billion a year on illegal immigration, not including the terrible drug flow. The top border security, including a wall, is $25 billion, pays for itself in 2 months." The White House did not provide data or any other information backing Trump's assessment. Several economics and immigration experts said they were unaware of any report stating that $250 billion figure. It's difficult to peg an exact cost of illegal immigration, but even high estimates are significantly lower. Trump's claim that a $25 billion border wall would pay for itself in 2 months isn't supported by the facts either. Trump's claim is inaccurate. We rate it as false.
Yeah. Yeah, it would have to be, $300 billion a year in order for that $25 billion that makes sense.
Yeah, he just...
And that's...
It's lie after lie after lie after lie. And each time he lies, the lies just get bigger.
Yeah.
He doesn't correct himself.
Well, the thing is...
He just makes the lie bigger.
Even to get his $25 billion, to have $300 billion a year, that is nearly 3 times the number that the most conservative people put out there.
Right. And that's over 10 years.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
The cost of illegal drugs exceeds $500 billion a year.
Are we going to sell them?
He just makes shit up out of thin air. Probably the thin air surrounding the thin hair on the top of his head.
It does look very cloudy.
Vastly more than the $5.7 billion we have requested from Congress.
Really? It's $500 billion, vastly more than 5.7.
Here's the thing. So even if they catch $500 billion worth of drugs at the border every year, how do we profit off that? We can't sell it.
No, he's saying
that's what it costs.
That's what it costs us because of the illegal drug trade. It costs America $500 billion.
Well, even then again, like they said, the border wall is federal. That cost is being incurred at state and local levels by local police forces that are catching these drugs and dealing with the people being caught at a state level.
Well, and let's pretend that his $500 billion quote is accurate, which I'm fucking positive it's not because he lies about everything. Let's pretend that was accurate. We could take that $500 billion that he says we're spending because of the illegal drug trade and invest that so that we didn't need to prosecute people. We wouldn't need to incarcerate people for minor drug offenses. We wouldn't have people robbing and stealing from as many people. We wouldn't be putting them in jail for those kinds of things. We wouldn't need as many judges, prosecutors, police, prisons. I mean, we could invest in real ways to actually treat the problem instead of criminalizing the problem.
The wall will also be paid for indirectly by the great new trade deal we have made with Mexico.
We've already kind of covered that.
So, again, then why do you need more money for it, motherfucker?
Senator Chuck Schumer, who you will be hearing from later tonight, has repeatedly supported a physical barrier in the past, along with many other Democrats. They changed their mind only after I was elected president.
No. That is fucking horse shit.
Okay. So when Obama wanted money to improve the border wall that we currently have, and he couldn't get it, and he only wanted like $500 million to help the border wall infrastructure, and Republicans wouldn't give it to him. So we've asked for it in the past, or Democrats have asked for it in the past.
And Democrats only turned against it after I threw a tantrum and increased the cost by, billions and billions of dollars over what we had agreed on before.
Yeah. Well, increase the cost and change the game plan.
Well, and first he reneged on the deal that they had on the table that both houses of Congress had passed, and it was going to go to his desk for a signature. And he said, "No, I'm not going to do it. I want more money than that. I want more than the $1.5 or whatever billion dollars that they had agreed on. No, I want more because Rush Limbaugh said that I'm being a pussy, and so I want more money than that. I want I don't know, 5.6 billion, and now all of a sudden it's 5.7 billion.
It's 7? Well, it was.
Well, he keeps saying 5.7 now.
Well, it was 5 billion to begin with.
Yeah. Well, and then he sent the vice president over to Congress with, to make a deal offering $2.5 billion. And no sooner had he had the vice president, who's also a fucking liar, by the way. I fucking hate that guy. So he sends him over there. No sooner had he met with congressional leaders about that than Trump says, no, I changed my mind. I want more than that now. Because again, like I said, Rush Limbaugh called me a pussy and I can't be called a pussy.
And if Congress and the Senate agree to that, what he just brought over, like, well,
I don't want people grabbing me by myself. Fucking asshole. God.
Democrats in Congress have refused to acknowledge the crisis. And they have...
Because it doesn't fucking exist!
Well, there's the crisis he's making up, and there are the crises that they've acknowledged. We need to improve the way we operate at the border. Not build a fucking wall.
The crisis that exists right now is the government that you have shut down and all of the people that are being negatively affected by that. That is the real crisis. You petulant fucking asshole.
Yeah, it's going to be a housing crisis where nobody can afford their fucking mortgages.
Yeah, tell me about it. So the last paycheck I received was almost 2 weeks ago now, and that went to pay my mortgage for January. So I'm good through January, but now I don't have another paycheck coming, and I still have my mortgage due on February 5th. So hopefully it will be reopened by then, and I'll have a check.
Yeah, I hope so too.
Because and I have enough, like, if I don't spend money on anything else for the rest of the month, I have enough to cover my next mortgage payment and regular bills with savings and shit like that. But then after that, I'm fucked. I don't know what I will do after that.
Well, I always tell my friends when they're hard up for money, cum and blood gets you a lot.
Cum and blood?
Yeah, you donate your semen and you donate your blood. There's like $100 a day right there.
Yeah, I guess I could go drive Uber or something for a little while when I'm not working and not being fucking paid.
Yeah.
Refuse to provide our brave border agents with the tools they desperately need to protect our families and
the tools they desperately need, like pay for their mortgages. That they don't get right now because I've shut down the government because I'm a petty fucking dictator.
And our nation. The federal government remains shut down for one reason and one reason only.
Because I'm a giant fucking cockwad with tiny, tiny hands, and I can't take a hit to my ego from Rush Limbaugh calling me a pussy.
Because Democrats will not fund border security.
Well, that's bullshit.
My administration is doing everything in our power to help those impacted by the situation.
Bullshit. What the fuck are you doing to help us? You haven't done a fucking thing. You have said, oh, well, maybe you could work with your landlord and see if you can do some odd jobs around the house. Well, I don't have a fucking landlord. What the fuck? Well, how have you helped us? You could help us by stopping the shutdown, by just accepting yes. Democrats have said, we'll give you $1.5 billion for this. We've all agreed on this. All of Congress agreed on this. You're the one who fucking stopped it. We'll still keep that on the table. We'll still pass that. You're the one fucking stopping it.
And how does a border wall help immigration again?
It doesn't.
Or help our borders. It doesn't help.
But the only solution is for Democrats to pass a spending bill.
That is the only solution in his eyes. The only solution is for Democrats to cave into whatever he wants. He's using the government and shutting it down as a dictator. That is not how our government is supposed to work. Our government is not supposed to shut down because the president wants something that he's not getting. And he'll shut it down and only reopen it until when he gets what he wants. That's not a democracy. That is a fucking dictatorship.
Yeah.
That defends our borders and reopens the government. This situation could be solved in a 45-minute meeting.
Why does it take 45 minutes?
I don't know. He writes his name really slow when he has to sign the stuff.
In the big scratchy fucking.
It can be resolved in 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Sign the fucking paper from the bill that was passed.
Yeah. Or even sign continuing resolutions for other agencies and then argue about this with one agency. You don't have to shut down all of these other unrelated places because you're not getting what you want. You fucking asshole.
I have invited congressional leadership to the White House tomorrow to get this done.
Yeah, sure. To make sure that they do exactly what I want. Or I'm going to be really, really angry and I want a pony now, Daddy.
Does he not realize he's a laughingstock of this office?
No, he doesn't. He lives in a bubble. He doesn't watch anything but Fox News.
Yeah.
He doesn't listen to even his own advisors who tell him, no, that's a bad idea. Then he just does whatever the fuck he wants anyway.
Yeah. Or he fires them.
Yeah, he fires them. They resign because he won't listen to them.
Hopefully, we can rise above partisan politics in order to support national security.
Just the irony is so
isn't
thick.
this a straight up partisan politic talk?
Yeah, it absolutely is. The Democrats do this and the Democrats do that. I just really wish that we could work on a bipartisan basis.
Like you.
Some have suggested a barrier is immoral. Then why do wealthy politicians build walls, fences, and gates around their homes?
I don't know, probably because you've whipped up your fans into a frenzy of murderous rage.
Or privacy.
Yeah, how often have we heard about a fucking Trump fan beating up somebody, yelling, screaming at them, assaulting them because they love Donald Trump so much and they hate immigrants because of this motherfucker. And
I hate, this comes from like one of those stupid fucking memes where it's like, if you love immigrants so much, why don't you just let them walk through your house and take whatever they want? It's like, cause that's not the same.
Yeah.
We were saying you can come to our country and you can work and you can get one of these of your own. It's called a house.
Yeah.
Your domicile to live inside of where you are supposed to feel safe. Now, I know the country you came from, you might have had a domicile, but you did not feel safe in it.
Yeah, that's why they left.
Yeah.
They don't build walls because they hate the people on the outside, but because they love the people on the inside.
Oh, that's right. I just really, really love all of my fellow Americans, and I just want to keep you safe. And so I'm demanding 5.7 billion now for a wall that won't do anything, for a government shutdown that doesn't have to happen, and for, a wall that I've already said will pay for itself through various other means. But somehow this is all the Democrats' fault. Even after I said that I will take responsibility, I will shut down the government, I will take the mantle, I will do it because that's what I want to do.
And we build the biggest walls, our most fanciest high-tech walls for the people we love the most.
And by the way, the wall just got 20 feet higher.
And what the place where we put people we love the most is called prison. Because we want to have good walls for them because we love them so much. We love everyone that's inside those walls. We want to protect those
prisoners on the inside.
Yeah. It's not because we hate the people on the outside of those walls, but it's because we really love the people on the inside of those walls.
The only thing that is immoral is the politicians to do nothing and continue to allow more innocent people to be so horribly victimized.
He's just fear-mongering at its worst, and it's so fucking disgusting and despicable. Everything about this man is detestable. He lies, he cheats, he's just, I can't even come up with the words to describe how much I detest this fucking shithead.
Yeah.
Everything about him sickens me.
Because I guess the Senate and Congress isn't back in session right now.
Yeah.
They're not showing up to work every day and trying to figure a way to work this out with themselves.
Yeah, they're showing up to work every day and getting paid and getting a raise after denying a raise to the rest of the federal workforce. And they're the ones who aren't doing their fucking job. I'm still working. I'm still doing my fucking job, and I'm not being paid for it.
Don't go postal.
And I'm not going to get a raise because.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't even call it a raise. They give us based on inflation.
Yeah. A cost of living increase.
Cost of living increase.
America's heart broke the day after Christmas.
I was going to say the day you got elected.
When a young police officer in California was savagely murdered in cold blood by an illegal alien who just came across the border.
Yeah, how about all of the people who were killed through gun violence? How many people were killed in fucking Vegas alone?
Well, this cop was killed by legal, but there was a cop here in Utah that was killed 2 days ago by a legal citizen. So
I'm going to do my best to emotionally manipulate you now by saying that, we love people on the inside of our walls and we want to keep people from being murdered by these awful, terrible brown people.
Because we all know that more cops in this country get killed by illegal immigrants than by, oh, never mind, that's not right.
This, just despicable.
The life of an American hero was stolen by someone who had no right to be in our country. Day after day, precious lives are cut short by those who have violated our borders. In California.
Yeah, Adderall's wearing off. I think we already know the answer to this, but illegal immigrants do not kill more people than naturalized or legal citizens.
Correct.
More people are murdered in this country.
They commit crimes at a much, much, much lower rate than your average citizen.
Yeah, so bullshit.
An Air Force veteran was raped, murdered, and beaten to death with a hammer by an illegal alien with a long criminal history. In Georgia, an illegal alien was recently charged with murder for killing, beheading, and dismembering his neighbor. In Maryland, MS-13 gang members.
Terrible shit happens all over the place, and I only care about it when it's brown people.
And why is it always MS-13? There's more than one gang. It's not all MS-13.
Are you sure, Ryan?
I'm pretty sure there's more than one Hispanic gang. I mean, he doesn't talk about the Vagos.
I don't know. Trump hasn't said anything about any other kind of gang, so I don't think so.
I mean, what about the Hells Angels? Oh, they're white. Never mind.
Oh, right.
Members who arrived in the United States as unaccompanied minors were arrested and charged last year after viciously stabbing and beating a 16-year-old girl. Over the last several years, I've met with dozens of families
who were abused by several members of my own staff. Jesus fucking Christ, dude. You had wife beaters in your own fucking staff.
Whose loved ones were stolen by illegal immigration. I've held the hands of the weeping mothers and embraced the grief-stricken fathers. So sad.
So sad.
Terrible. I will never forget the pain in their eyes, the tremble in their voices, and the sadness gripping their souls.
So I was going to throw some toilet paper or some, rolled paper of some sort at them, football style, because I'm a hero.
How much more American blood must we shed before Congress does its job? To those who refuse to compromise in the name of border security.
Oh, my God. Motherfucker. Everybody in Congress. This had already passed. Yep. Republicans, Democrats, they had agreed on this. They had passed it. You are the one who stopped it.
And if he's really concerned about American lives, why don't we do more to stifle our addiction to drugs and gun violence and the accessibility to these things to create these crimes?
Yeah. Well, that would be just, how could I blame that on brown people, Brian?
Well, he can't.
Give me a way that I can blame that on brown people, and maybe we'll talk about it, okay?
They're all made by Browning people. Browning Firearms did it all.
I knew there was something suspicious about that company.
Yep.
I would ask, imagine if it was your child, your husband,
that I stole from you and secreted away and put in a kiddie prison and then shipped you to a different country. How would you feel about that?
I was going to say killed like that one movie where they buy the people and they like get to murder them in weird ways. Hostile. Yeah. I could see him. I can see him being in that group.
Yeah.
or your wife, whose life was so cruelly shattered and totally broken.
Shattered and totally broken.
Yeah.
To every member of Congress, pass a bill that ends this crisis. To every citizen, call Congress and tell them to finally, after all of these decades, secure our border. This is a choice between right and wrong, justice and injustice. This is about whether we fulfill our sacred duty to the American citizens we serve.
Jesus, sir, sniffs a lot. Yeah. What the fuck, man?
It's his Adderall addiction. That's why the guy said he sniffs so much.
God damn.
When I took the oath of office, I swore to protect our country.
You're not doing a good job.
And that is what I will always do. So help me God. Thank you and good night.
But what
fuck you and good night.
What the fuck does a border wall do?
Make his dick hard?
Yeah, but that's all 2 inches. That still doesn't do anything. Doesn't even push the pants out.
Oh my god! I just want to fucking if
he's really concerned about border security, that money could be spent in so many better ways.
Yeah,
a fucking wall.
Yeah, it's a fucking waste of resources.
It is. No one's saying we don't need
this
better.
This shutdown has been almost 3 weeks, and it's a complete fucking waste.
No one's saying that we don't need better security on the border. We're just saying the fence is not the right way to your wall is not the right way to fucking go about it.
Yeah, and separating families at the border isn't the right way to handle that either.
Or not allowing people to come here to seek asylum.
Shooting tear gas at people across the fucking border is not the right way to fucking handle that.
I still wonder, how is that fucking legal to shoot tear gas into another country?
I don't think it is, but what's Mexico going to do about it?
They should...
We're going to get really, really angry.
Cancel the trade deal.
Oh, God. So that was all of his bullshit, and we're going to take a break now so I can pace around and
go kick a puppy.
No, I wouldn't ever kick a puppy.
We'll find a cat.
I still probably wouldn't kick a cat either.
We'll find a small child.
Maybe I should make like a Donald Trump voodoo doll or something. Burn him in effigy.
I'm going to look that up right now because I guarantee it's fucking out there. You know what? I bet we can find that on fucking Amazon.
All right, well, we'll look for that and come back to you in just a minute.
This is Dr. Dan, Matt's boss from the Two Skeptical Chaps podcast, and you are listening to the Godless Revolution. Oh shit, did I say I mean Rebelution. Bloody Americans fucking up the language. You can edit that, right, Spike?
All appropriate departments of our government, from Homeland Security to Defense, are engaged fully in the disaster and the response and recovery effort probably has never been seen for something like this. This is an island surrounded by water, big water, ocean water.
Thank you to everybody who has rated the show on iTunes and Stitcher and are following us on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. And to all our Patreon patrons, you make the show possible.
Okay. We're back. I'm still fucking mad. And but we've been, I don't know, it's been a while. since we've been actively recording portions of the show, because I was just I needed a moment.
You was fuming.
I needed a moment from a break from the fucking jackassery that we just witnessed.
It's partisan. It's not even partisan politics.
No, it's Trumpian, fucking petulant, dictatorial nonsense.
Yeah. It's an Orwellian universe coming true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's just a monster. He's fucking awful. I can't. So I was chatting with Ryan during the break, and I was like, I can't. Like, there are very few people that I actively hate. Like, I dislike a lot of people. Like, there are a ton of people. Some of you may be listening who I actively dislike, but I don't hate you. There are very, very precious few people that I actively hate, and I fucking hate with a burning, searing passion Donald Trump. I fucking hate him. He is the worst kind of human being on the planet.
You can tell my mom you dislike her. It's okay.
I love her. Your mom is a very sweet woman. She's very, very nice. She seems she raised a caring, compassionate, kind person. I mean, that doesn't happen by accident.
Yeah. Now, what about me? I know you're talking about my brother, but
your brother is also very nice. I haven't met your sister yet.
No,
but I'm sure she's lovely as well.
If she ever comes out, I'll try to convince her to come on the podcast.
I mean, as far as I know, your parents are batting at least, 2 out of 3. So they've got a good average.
Yeah.
And I'm sure your sister is very nice as well.
I mean,
I just haven't met her.
I'm the only son that's been locked up in jail as far as I know. It's just for a night, just for one night.
For something that was, I mean,
I talked about it. I think
it was within
Patreon
your
section.
control, but.
Yeah, no.
I mean, it was within your control to take the Ambien.
Yeah, but then I didn't know what the fuck was going on afterwards. If I would have known, hindsight.
So it's 2020?
Yeah, especially now after my eye surgery.
So we're going to watch Chuck and Nancy.
Yes.
Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi with the Democratic response to Trump's bullshit. And we've watched it. Well, we watched it once, just kind of had it playing in the background while we were chit-chatting, and then we actively watched it a second time. And it's probably good. Like, if you didn't watch it yourself, it's probably good that you're just hearing the audio for it, because
they're very rigid.
The optics of it are pretty bad. Like, they're both just caked in makeup, and they're standing very awkwardly and woodenly next to each other. Like, it's just, it's really bad. They're very wooden. Like, there's no charisma there. There's no, like, Donald Trump, as much as I hate to admit it, Donald Trump was much more charismatic.
That's how he got to where he is.
Yeah. He came across much better on television than these two come across. But their words are much more accurate and truthful and compassionate, even though you wouldn't know that from watching them, because they look like a couple marionettes out there. And where they're doing their address from, it has terrible audio problems also. Like, it's not super bad, but it's just really echoey. They're in a hall, and it doesn't sound very good. The audio isn't I mean, it's not bad, but it's not terrific.
And what I would have told them to do, like, instead of standing shoulder to shoulder at the podium,
do one at a time.
One person is talking, you kind of stand off to the side of the podium. When they're done talking, you move over to the podium and you start
just
talking.
Standing there awkwardly and woodenly next to the person.
When one person's not talking, don't just stare blankly into the camera.
Yeah. Because it
looks weird.
Yeah, it looks really fucking weird. They look like lizard people. This is why Alex Jones wins, people.
Here come the conspiracies.
But we'll play this, and then I think I'm fucking done for the night, because it's too much. It's too much. 10 minutes of the Orange Menace that we turned into almost an hour because he's such an asshole. And I'm sure this will go much more quickly. But, and it's good, like I said, that you're hearing this in audio if you haven't watched it. If you did watch it, let me know if I'm totally off base in my depiction of how they appeared on television, because to me, they just come across as very wooden and fake, almost.
Yeah. And see, here's proof. We have no problem criticizing Republicans or Democrats.
And honestly, I'm not a big fan of Chuck Schumer. Like Nancy Pelosi, I dig. Kind of, because she's effective. Like, she gets shit done. She's a boss. Chuck Schumer has always seemed a bit slimy to me.
Is it because he's always scowling when he looks?
Well, I don't know. There's been a few different things. There was one particular moment where the Senate had something going on. I can't even remember exactly what it was. Somebody was delivering a speech. Something was going on, and whoever was speaking said something decent, and the Democrats applauded, and Chuck Schumer, like, who was sitting in the front row, like, turned around and waved his arm like, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that. Like, dude, it's, if somebody says something good, you should acknowledge that.
Yeah.
Like, if Donald Trump were to say something decent, I would acknowledge that. But it just doesn't happen. So, but Schumer has always seemed slimy, and I don't know. I don't like him. He rubs me the wrong way for whatever reason, but
because he's a lizard.
Yeah. Because he's a lizard person. He can't help it. We'll listen to them now and present it to all of you out there in listening land.
Good evening. I appreciate the opportunity to speak directly to the American people tonight about how we can end this shutdown and meet the needs of the American people.
So if you can, I'm sure you can tell I'm kind of an audiophile. That's why I do what I can to make the show sound as good as possible with the equipment we have and everything in the tiny little studio here in my basement.
But it works great.
Honestly, I think we sound really good in comparison to a lot of other shows that I listen to.
When I hear it, I'm like, who's that sexy man? Oh, it's me.
Who's that sexy motherfucker talking? Oh, that's right. It's me, Ryan. But yeah, so I'm kind of an audiophile. I have little nitpicky things. One of the issues with the most recent episode that we put out that people may have picked up on, I use compression and a noise gate. And so part of the stuff that we were doing, especially around the interview with Jay-Z Knight, when she was speaking, the audio was a little lower while we were recording. And then my noise gate was cutting out like some of the background music and stuff in between things because the volume was anyway, it just didn't work out all that well. So I apologize for that. It bothered me. I don't know if anybody else noticed. Maybe you did, maybe you didn't, but it's just one of those little nitpicky things that I'm like, it's not as good as it could be.
And I've got that channel like all the way up.
I know. There's something wrong in the way I've configured stuff here, but it works, just not as well as I would like.
But they're right now standing in a hallway that is very echoey.
Yes. Next to each other with a shit ton of fucking makeup on, like, oh my God, maybe tone down the makeup, get somewhere that's not so echoey, and don't stand next to each other and don't look so wooden, like come across as normal human beings.
Yeah.
Show a little charisma would be good, but
they got more flags than the president.
Yes, indeed they do.
Sadly, much of what we heard from President Trump throughout this senseless shutdown has been full of misinformation and even malice.
Yeah, because that's what he does. That's what he does best. Misinformation and malice.
The president has chosen fear. We want to start with the facts. The fact is, on the very first day of this Congress, House Democrats passed Senate Republican legislation to reopen government and fund smart, effective border security solutions.
Yeah, they did. They tried passing the stuff that was already passed before.
Yep.
That Republicans agreed to. They were like, yeah, sure, we're on board. This sounds great.
Yep.
Let's keep the government running.
In a successful bipartisan agreement.
But the president is rejecting these bipartisan bills, which would reopen government, over his obsession with forcing American taxpayers to waste billions of dollars on an expensive and ineffective wall.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. These are all the things that we were saying earlier.
Yep. and coming up here, you can't see it because this is audio, but she kind of gives a little smirk here in a second.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I missed that while we were watching earlier.
A wall he always promised Mexico would pay for.
Right there.
She did give him that was a nice little smirk. That was some human emotion.
Yeah, it was.
That was a little bit of charisma.
Yeah.
Good job, Nancy.
And that's all we get.
The fact is, President Trump has chosen to hold hostage critical services for the health, safety, and well-being of the American people and withhold the paychecks of 800,000 innocent workers across the nation, many of them veterans.
Yeah, for all of his talk about he loves the military, he loves veterans, he's going to do this and that, he's going to give the military a 10% fucking bullshit nonsense. Lies that he just figures he can get away with. I don't understand why his supporters fucking support the guy. He's done nothing for them.
Or even though they know it's fake, they still go with him. They're like, yeah, he said the number's wrong. He didn't mean that.
What he means, what he meant was he's still going to give us a raise. Yeah. It might not be 10%, but we're still getting a raise.
Yeah. Obama never gave him raises, which is
bullshit.
He promised to keep government shut down for months or years, no matter whom it hurts. That's just plain wrong. The fact is, we all agree we need to secure our borders while honoring our values. We can build the infrastructure and roads at our ports of entry. We can install new technology to scan cars and trucks for drugs coming into our nation. We can hire the personnel we need to
Which really, if he is concerned about the flow of drugs across the border, then that is the more sensible thing to do. You know, help use that money instead of building a stupid fucking wall. Use it to invest in technology that can help find those drugs in those vehicles that are coming across the border.
Like a way to
at the ports of entry.
Yeah, like at the ports of entry, they have a way to scan every single vehicle that comes through. Instead of you have to pull a vehicle aside, like, oh, that one looks suspicious, so we will check that one.
Yeah.
No,
or we're going to check every X number of vehicles or whatever.
Just make it so that when they drive through, they literally drive through a giant thing like you have at the airport, a little giant X-ray machine.
Yeah.
Facilitate trade and immigration at the border. We can fund more innovation to detect unauthorized crossings. The fact is, the women and children at the border are not a security threat. They are a humanitarian challenge, a challenge that President Trump's own cruel and counterproductive policies have only deepened.
Yep.
And I did kind of like the way they put their spin on it there, saying it's a humanitarian challenge.
Not a crisis.
Not a crisis. Because it's...
I mean, it's a humanitarian crisis. It's not a crisis of people invading our country.
No, but putting it as a challenge kind of makes it saying, hey, we don't need to just kick them out, we need to find a way to actually help them.
Yeah.
And I would say help them, whether that's, hey, what can we do in our own country to help them? And what can we maybe do what can we do
on the international stage?
On the international stage, working with those countries down there, not to depose the presidents and put our own people in power down there and do the shitty stuff we've done in the past.
How much more effective would it be if we were to invest, instead of investing $5 billion in a stupid fucking wall that won't do anything, take that money and invest it into those foreign countries to help improve the lives of people there so they don't even want to come here in the first place.
Yeah. Why don't we have Ford go build a factory down in Ecuador?
Give Guatemala $1 billion for police and infrastructure and things there that will help people want to stay there, to help control the violence and the gangs and the drugs there, instead of building a stupid fucking wall.
Yeah. Why don't we be a good neighbor?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And the fact is, President Trump must stop holding the American people hostage, must stop manufacturing a crisis, and must reopen the government.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Leadership.
Preach it. Amen, Nancy.
Schumer.
Thank you, Speaker Pelosi.
That was awkward.
Thank you, Speaker Pelosi. I am a human male who will now speak.
Yeah.
I appreciate your female human presence here next to me.
I'm not sure if I should look at you when I address you. I'm just going to look right into the camera the entire time.
threat. They are a humanitarian challenge, a challenge that President Trump's own cruel and counterproductive policies have only deepened. And the fact is, President Trump must stop holding the American people hostage, must stop manufacturing a crisis, and must reopen the government. Thank you. Leader Schumer?
Thank you, Speaker Pelosi. My fellow Americans, we address you tonight for one reason only. The President of the United States, having failed to get Mexico to pay for his ineffective, unnecessary border wall, and unable to convince the Congress or the American people to foot the bill, has shut down the government.
Yes! Preach it! That is what has happened.
Yeah.
American democracy doesn't work that way. We don't govern by temper tantrum. No president.
Well, most people don't govern by temper tantrum, but most people aren't the President of the United States.
True.
Should pound the table and demand he gets his way, or else the government shuts down, hurting millions of Americans who are treated as leverage. Tonight, and throughout this debate and throughout his presidency, President Trump has appealed to fear, not facts, division, not unity. Make no mistake, Democrats and the president both want stronger border security.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's set this up as a false choice, right?
Yeah.
That if you don't give me this money, then we're not going to have secure borders. And I'll shut the border down. If you can shut the border down, then why do you need a fucking wall? Why do you need money for it? Like, everything. I mean, I would think that even the stupidest of people could listen to him and go, wait, something about that ain't right. I don't understand. Why do you need money for a wall if the thing that you did with Mexico is going to pay for it? And, stopping people from coming across is going to pay for it. Then why do you need money for it? That just don't make no sense.
I mean, this almost reminds me of people that say like, hey, you want to come work on my film? It's gonna get money in the future, but for right now, it ain't got no money, so I can't exactly pay you. But I can give you a promise that it will make money. Like, yeah, then that promise never comes through.
Yeah.
So the promise that we're going to make money off this border thing isn't going to happen, but he wants you to still give him the money, do the work, but the money that he says is going to come for it won't come for it.
And for our listeners in the South, or for those who have a Southern accent, please know that I know that there are some people out there with a Southern accent who are incredibly intelligent, very compassionate, nice, caring, wonderful people. But, the Southern thing is what I go to for a stupid rube. So my apologies to those of you who aren't stupid rubes who have a Southern accent.
However, we sharply disagree with the president about the most effective way to do it. So, how do we untangle this mess? Well, there's an obvious solution. Separate the shutdown from arguments over border security.
Yes. Yes. Again, I totally agree with this. You don't have to shut down all of these branches of government, all of these individual agencies, because you're pissed off that you can't get money for your stupid fucking wall.
But if he lets the hostages go, what does he have to negotiate with?
Exactly, right?
There is bipartisan legislation supported by Democrats and Republicans to reopen government.
Now, you and I talked about this pre-show that, as far as passing around blame, who do we need to blame? Of course, President Trump is number one on my fucking list of who to blame for the government shutdown. Not only because he said that he would accept the mantle and that he would shut it down and that he's happy to do it, but because he's the one who, after these bills were passed in both houses of Congress, said, no, I'm not going to sign it.
Yeah.
Additionally, we should abso-fucking-lutely blame the Republicans in the House and the Senate for not having the guts to stand up to the president and say, you're being fucking ridiculous. They could vote and override his veto. They have the votes available to them to do so. They just won't do it because they're fucking cowards.
Yeah.
Yellow-bellied, stinking fucking cowards who are afraid that if they vote against him or if they override his veto of this, and they say, no, you're being ridiculous. We need to get this done. We need to reopen the government. We need to take care of the 800,000 employees who are currently out of work, who are not going to be paid, and those who are working and not being paid. We need to stop the insanity. We need to reopen the government. So we're going to override your veto over a stupid fucking border wall. Them not standing up to him is also a big fucking problem. Yeah. And I think the main reason that he had his first ever speech from the Oval Office during his presidency is because he can see that his base of supporters and even his base in the Congress and Senate for the Republicans in both houses are starting to abandon him. Oh, yeah. They're starting to feel the pressure locally, and we need to keep that pressure on them. If you are in a state with a Republican representative in the House and or Senate, call them, send them emails, let them know that you think this is fucking ridiculous, that they need to override his veto, that they need to pass legislation to reopen the government, get things done, get people back to work, and make sure that our government is a functioning democracy, not a dictatorship.
While allowing debate over border security to continue, there is no excuse for hurting millions of Americans over a policy difference. Federal workers are about to miss a paycheck. Some families can't get a mortgage to buy a new home. Farmers and small businesses won't get loans they desperately need. Most presidents have used Oval Office addresses for noble purposes. This president just used the backdrop of the Oval Office to manufacture a crisis, stoke fear, and divert attention from the turmoil in his administration.
Oh my, that was fucking deliciousness and absolutely true. That is absolutely what is going on.
Even all the top analysts, even Republican and Democratic sides, say there is no crisis.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
fabricated,
completely manufactured. Yeah.
Like we were showing earlier, the people trying to cross the border illegally has decreased dramatically.
Mm-hmm.
My fellow Americans, there is no challenge so great that our nation cannot rise to meet it. We can reopen the government and continue to work through disagreements over policy. We can secure our border without an ineffective, expensive wall. And we can welcome legal immigrants and refugees without compromising safety and security.
I have yet to disagree with anything they've said. I mean, other than the optics of the whole thing and them being weird and wooden and non-charismatic and whatever, like everything they're saying is absolutely true.
Is what we were saying previously.
Yeah.
The symbol of America should be the Statue of Liberty, not a 30-foot wall.
Which is why I absolutely love your new cover photo on Facebook.
And that's where it reminded me of that. I'm like, I got a picture on my wall at home that is perfect for this.
And I absolutely fucking stole it and made it my profile or my cover photo as well on Facebook.
You're allowed.
So our suggestion is a simple one. Mr. President, reopen the government and we can work to resolve our differences over border security. But end this shutdown now. Thank you.
Thank you for speaking some fucking truth to power.
Yeah. It's completely asinine to fight over this right now.
Dude, and it's just been so frustrating. Like, as a federal employee who has been forced to work for more than 2 weeks now, not knowing whether I'm going to be paid for the time that I'm putting in, or when my next paycheck may arrive, it's so absolutely frustrating and demoralizing to be forced to work in a government position supporting what should happen in an active and functioning democracy when we have this petty fucking tyrant holding everybody hostage, affecting the lives of not only the public workers who are not being paid and or are out of work, but also the lives of regular Americans who depend on those government agencies for the things that they do every single day.
Yeah.
Like Schumer said, the people who need loans, farmers who need access to these services, the IRS who, the White House just this week decided that they were going to say that, well, tax refunds will go out as scheduled. How the fuck are they going to do that?
Nobody's working.
They haven't recalled anybody yet. Apparently the Department of Treasury said that, oh yeah, this is going to happen. I don't know how they figure it is, because in order to do that, they're going to have to recall people to come to work. How many people are going to want to go back to work for free? Yeah. It's just, I don't see how that's going to fucking happen.
It's not. But you also got people that are on like medical assistance that desperately need the money to be able to afford their insulin.
Yeah.
Or other life-saving drugs that, because that they can no longer work, they're on assistance from the government. And guess what? They're no longer getting their checks to help pay for medical bills or having the assistants there to take care of that shit, and are going without life-saving medicine.
And the people who are government employees who are ostensibly working in order to keep us safe, who aren't being paid.
Yeah. I mean, I took a government job because it was like, oh, hey, stability.
Yeah, that's what I did it.
And
absolutely. I got tired of the fucking contract work where every 6 months I didn't know if I was going to have a job or not.
And that's what I originally was going to do when I left the military. I was like, I'm going to go do contract. Travel to Middle East and
parts unknown
and make a shitload of money doing contract gigs for a few years and come back. And instead of doing that, I'm like, I'll take a federal job. It's more stable.
Safer.
Physical
security is better.
Yeah.
The stability is better. Ideally, I mean, in a world where you don't have a petty fucking tyrant sitting in the White House,
worrying about the government shutting down.
Yeah.
So when the president says, "Oh, we don't got to worry about this, we'll still get good qualified people to go work in the government." Like, not if you keep fucking shutting it down.
Yeah, exactly. That was going to be my next point. Is how are you going to say that you're going to hire the best and brightest and people who are actually dedicated to public service if you fuck them over in instances like this? You use them as political pawns. You're not going to get good people who are there to do the business of government. You're going to get people who don't fucking care about anything because they don't know whether they're going to be working or not. You're going to get not the best people that you can get into these positions. I could go elsewhere. I could work in the private sector and make a lot more money, but I choose to work in the public sector in the public sector because I wanted to give something back. I couldn't join the military because I'm colorblind and have knee problems. This is my opportunity to be able to serve the American public through service in their federal government, and I'm being shat on by this petty fucking shithead. It's just, it's so demoralizing. I fucking hate him. I hate him so much.
I hope it's over soon.
Me too.
I hope it's over soon, especially for you and everyone else in your situation, because I lucked out.
Yeah, you're one of the departments that hasn't been shut down.
During the last part of the last fiscal cycle, they funded us for 2 years.
Yeah.
Or it would have been like 3 years, whatever. So we got 2 years left of funding before we come up to be negotiated over.
It's completely unnecessary.
Yeah.
All of these agencies that have nothing to do with border security, why are they still shut down?
Like I said earlier, you got to hold some hostages.
I mean, the Democrats have offered, well, let's reopen these other agencies, these other branches of government,
they have
so that they can go back
it.
to work and get the business of American government done and working for the American people. And the Republicans have balked at that.
Yeah.
Said, no, let's keep working on this little bit. President Trump wants to keep the government shut down, so we're just going to keep continuing down that stupid fucking path.
And why don't you be more conservative about these things?
And recognize some fiscal responsibility. Yeah.
Reopen the government, get these people back to work, because it costs more money to not have them work, and realize that this wall is a waste of fucking money.
And especially if you're going like everybody, all of my Republican friends and conservative friends, whoever, and even, my Democratic friends are like, well, you'll be paid eventually. I don't know that for sure. Yeah. I mean, historically that has happened. But in the meantime, we've been shut down for more than 2 weeks now, where vast amounts of work are not being done. They're going undone, and you're delaying other work from being accomplished in a timely manner. And then you're also going to offer those people back pay for the time that they weren't working. How fucking wasteful is that?
Yeah.
That you're just going to say, oh no, well, you've had a 2 or 3 week or however fucking long this government shutdown goes on, and we're going to pay you for that time, even though no work was getting done. Yeah. How fucking wasteful is that?
And then if it goes for too long, the bank doesn't care about, well, I'm going to get paid eventually.
Yeah.
Like, well, we get paid now.
Yeah, your lenders don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
It's that whole fuck you, pay me thing.
Yeah.
It doesn't, I don't give a fuck about your personal problems. You entered into this debt. You agreed to pay your payments on time. Fuck you, pay me.
Yeah.
They don't give a shit about anybody else.
They want their money.
Bitch better have my money. That'll wrap things up for us this evening. Before we go, I want to make sure that we thank our Patreon supporters because we love you. Honestly, we do. We love all of our listeners, but we especially love our Patreon supporters. Because you make the show go, for sure, especially now. when you know, I've been footing the costs for all of this, for the hosting and the equipment and the pay and the all of the things.
Yeah.
Our website and I'll just, I don't know. I should make a list of like all the things that I have to pay for each month in order to keep the show going. And
that's what I saw a good one with Kevin Smith when he talked about first started doing podcasts, when he was kind of like one of the first guys to get out there and do podcasts.
Uh-huh.
He's like, he goes, I started doing it and it was fun. Then I realized, shit, this stuff costs money.
It's kind of expensive.
It's like, actually, a lot of people are starting to listen, so it's starting to cost a lot of money. He's like, he's like, that's when we said we needed sponsors. And the first sponsor I went to was Fleshlight.
And I have so far rejected any sponsorship or anything because I don't want to serve ads for shit.
Yeah.
Like it's not something I'm into, especially when it's things like, I don't know, companies who wear aprons and are, you know, against GMOs and shit like that, like stuff that I fundamentally disagree with on a deeply personal level because I think they're actively harming other people. Who a ton of other shows are like, oh no, that's fine, we'll take their money.
But I think we would hawk fleshlights.
Oh, yeah. Fleshlight. Who wouldn't hawk a fleshlight? I mean, if Fleshlight wanted to sponsor the show, I'd be totally down with that.
Yeah.
That brings people happiness. But I want to make sure that we thank our Patreon patrons. That would be Alan Firth,
New Mania,
Christy Kalbach,
Gaytheist,
Larry Wilson,
Stephen Andrews,
Let Them Eat Kofefi,
Two Skeptical Chaps,
Michelle Short,
Vanessa,
Freethinker 215,
Captain Samples,
Utah Outcast,
Janet Uter,
Marius Kot Butrakowski,
Wesley Aaron,
Andrew Vodopich,
Taylor Grin,
Angelica Pearson,
Jeremy Goodson,
Brandy Hamrick,
Megan Kennedy,
The Foz,
Jeff Peterson,
Jesse Pointer,
Savita Kuna,
and the Purple Dragon.
Yay!
Thank you all so much.
It might be a little late, but if you haven't, go to Megan Kennedy's YouTube page. The Religious Education Series.
Yes.
And there's a new video up on there that we did a couple weeks ago, or it might have been like
from her last
4 weeks
talk.
ago from her last talk.
She's so I still feel bad that I haven't been able to make it to her last couple talks because we had other family stuff going on.
Well,
because she's such a good speaker and like the shit that she presents is so fucking cool.
It was a really good talk. So if you get a chance, go out there and look it up. It has to deal with ancient aliens and basically how we've turned ancient cultures white.
I will be sure to include a link to that in the show notes for this episode because Megan is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
She's super cool. So, until next week, crucify Donald Trump.
Leave a review and Superman will crush the wall.
And rate the show 5 times a day toward impeachment.
Yeah. Like that number does not sound right from the number I saw earlier.
I appreciate it. I would have fucking fucked it up again. I'm getting old. I change things here and not there and lose track. Are we actually recording this? Is it?
I don't fucking know. Are we recording?
I'm going to stop this and then we'll do the recording. And rate the show 5 times a day toward... What the fuck did I write down here?
You see, you wrote it down and you still fucked up.
Oh, here we go.
Okay.
I can't believe I fucked that up. Like, I wrote it down, but it was kind of in scribbles here toward the end, and I'm like, at the time, I was like, I'll remember what that is. It's no problem. And then, a full cocktail later, I'm like, what the fuck did I write?
That happened.
I actually thought about it ahead of time, but then can't read my own fucking writing because I was lazy and then got drunk. Dumbass.